Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Perfect Change Talks. You may have noticed that we were not here last week. We didn't post a video. That's because we were enjoying Valentine's Day with our loved ones, and we had a wonderful time, and we hope you did too. So, um, this week we're going to be covering recording because, funny enough, that's what we've been doing. We've been having a lot of fun getting some of our songs officially recorded, semi-officially anyway. So we were thinking we were just going to talk about that, some of our methods and how we've been doing it. And yeah, George is going to start us off. He's going to be talking about what he's been doing.
Right on. Well, thank you for that, Mark. Hello, everybody. So, first and foremost, I want to put out a huge shout out to our buddy Matt over at Panda Productions, who's been working very hard with us to accomplish our goal of releasing our first single. Um, so, we're not going to actually tell you what song it will be. Some of you fans may or may not know, but keep an eye out for more details on that release. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about my process with recording the guitar part and multiple guitar parts on this tune that we're writing, and some of the equipment that we used, especially having a lot of restrictions due to COVID and things like that, and not being able to get together with a lot of people as a band and get together in that sense either. So a little bit of a rig rundown. First, I'm going to flip the camera around. Hopefully, you guys can see. Okay, so first and foremost, I'm running out of a Line 6 Spider 2 half stack. That all runs through my pedal board. It's very simple. I've got a GT500. That's a overdrive and distortion pedal. I have also a little bit of reverb, blues driver, condenser, as well as a little bit of a delay. I do use a little bit of looper as well. And that all runs through this very gorgeous 2004, I believe it is, Ibanez SZ guitar, my beautiful 6-string. That runs through to the main interface. Actually, we mic'd the cab using a PreSonus M7 microphone supplied by the one and only Matt over at Panda Productions. So that's a little bit of what we do. We ran through the take a couple of different times and kind of had to do a lot of pre-mixing and post-mixing and things like that just to make sure that it sounds as good as it's going to be. And we're very excited about the results. Who's next?
Was a great album by The Who. But with that segue, I suppose next up would be me. So, I did the bass part for the latest song that we did. I would give you a rig rundown on mine, but it wouldn't be anywhere near as interesting. My bass is a 1990 something Epiphone power bass that basically, when I got it, looked like it had been through a dumpster. Looked awful. I bought it for like $20 at Goodwill, but it served us wonderfully, and it sounds way better than it looks. So, but what I can talk about is my recording equipment. So I did everything remotely from the rest of everyone else. So I basically recorded at my house. I have a small PreSonus audio box USB 96. I'm not being paid by PreSonus. I swear we're not. We're definitely not sponsored by them. But I will tell you that it's a nice little piece of kit. It's got two interfaces, takes XLR or quarter inch or whatever. The way I use it is I've been basically, well, for this, all I had to do was just have the bass connected, but I do sometimes have more than one thing, and for that I do use my Boss RC3 looper pedal in sort of a funny way that most people don't, which is since it has two different inputs in it, technically three with the aux, I tend to put a microphone in the aux and multiple things through the other interfaces. But for this, it was just bass. So I did the recording with Audacity, which is open source and free software. We love open source, and it's not the best program out there, but it's the best free program out there for getting a decent recording. And you can put it out as anything you want, especially if you have VLC to boot. You can change formats, but I think even natively you can put out FLAC, which is lossless quality recordings, and they're pretty large, but it gives you a nice dynamic sound. You really do get a pretty good sound out of it, provided you have a decent microphone or pickups or whatever. So basically, I did the recording with Audacity and just sent it via, a file share to Matt from Panda. What was it? Panda Recording?
Panda Productions.
Panda Productions. Never say no to Panda. So Matt did a wonderful job from what I've heard so far. All right. Lori, you want to take the next one?
Sure thing. Thanks, Mark. All right. So on our latest song, we did the recording in 2 takes for my vocals. Pretty much. We had 2 mics set up. We had a condenser mic. George is showing it to y'all now. And then right behind it, we had my baby. That's my Shure Beta SM58. What a beauty.
Wow.
So did the recording right into that beauty with the red microphone, wind blocker, I guess that's what you call it, pop filter. And we did all the effects through my Beta. Pretty much with this song, I wanted to capture the story with my vocals, and I spent a lot of time figuring out how exactly I wanted to say the words. And I feel like Matt at Panda Productions picked up my voice wonderfully and beautifully, and all of the aspects to it that I feel would have been left out if we had only ran it through the one mic. So very smart thinking on his end, putting that second mic in there. All right. How about you, Anthony? You want to tell us a little about that drum part?
So recording the drums in itself on a more professional sounding level is a big hurdle when you're recording from home and you have limited supplies. I mean, we were talking about buying another microphone or maybe the Yamaha EAD10, which would give you a good recording. But we decided we wanted to use what we have and put it through a mixing board. But with that being said, first things first, recording in a very large basement with nothing on the walls, all concrete, would make for a really horrible recording. So the first thing that we did is we decreased the room size. George, if you don't mind showing. So we decreased the room size by putting up a blanket in front of the drum kit, and as well as putting our larger amps on the sides. And what that ultimately is doing, along with the other acoustic foam, is decreasing the amount of sound coming back into the microphones from the walls of the basement. And this is just our makeshift way of doing it. It might not be the best way, but it's what we had at the moment. Another thing we really had taken into account for was what kind of a drum kit we were setting up, for one. I mean, the song isn't super intensive on the toms, although they are prevalent and they are there. But we got rid of the really high 7th tom because I just wouldn't use it on the recording. But all the other toms are there, and we moved the 2 toms on the side over, and that ultimately gives us space for the ride, which is used a lot on the chorus especially. Some things we did invest in. George actually purchased the porthole for the bass drum so that we could fit the I think we had the SM57 in there. Is that correct, George?
Yes. So as far as the microphone placement and setup, it had a lot to do with a lot of experimenting. So what we ended up doing is, I don't know if you can see it. It's a little dark down there, but what we did is we had a porthole like Anthony had mentioned, and we put the SM57 in there that runs through the mixing board that I showed you earlier. And then we had used the Presonus M7, the same microphone that we used on Lori's vocals. We actually put it up here as a room mic. We put a little bit of foam padding in there to kind of reduce the echo that would have been picked up from the microphone. We also have two overhead SM58s we chose to use because that's basically what we have there and there. And we also used, it's not on the kit currently because we used it for our vocals, but we used Lori's SM58 beta, and we placed it right underneath the snare drum to kind of accentuate the snare drum and the toms fills that we felt that the SM58s would have a little bit difficulty being able to regulate the different sounds when we went back to go into the post-production process. That way, we're able to lower the volume of the snare drum because that's going to be a very hot microphone, being the SM58 beta is a very sensitive mic. And then the 58s were more geared towards the rest of the kit and especially the cymbals, which we can dial back in the post-production process. And that's a lot of stuff that Matt will be working out at Panda Productions when he does go through the track and actually mix and master everything, dialing back tones, working on EQs, and working on effects and adding reverb here and there, and just making the sound of the track really much more professional, if you will. It's going to give it that real radio feel, we feel like, and we are really excited to see the results in that. So let me swing back around here, back over to my spot here. The interesting part too is I wanted to add in what we were using. Matt runs everything out of his laptop using, yet again, and we swear we're not we're not sponsored by Presonus, but Presonus makes awesome, very affordable equipment. This is also an audio box USB 96, which is virtually the same thing that Mark used in his recordings.
Sure is.
We run all the microphones that you see here through the mixing board, which we have a 24 channel currently. We only used 5 channels for this particular application for the 5 microphones that we used on the drum kit. And that ran that out using our sub channel here. This one right here, sub L, because that's a mono channel, and ran that straight into the user interface. And that's really how we made our at-home recording into the recording that you guys will be able to listen to
and
shortly.
Enjoy, hopefully.
And enjoy.
And of course, I mean, there's always room for improvement. So if you do see anything or have any suggestions for that drum, just recording quality drums, and given our situation, that's always gladly appreciated.
Absolutely.
So all you sound engineers, chime in.
Or anyone, really. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Anybody. We would love to hear feedback, and we would love to hear, especially a lot of our local bands that we play with. I know that they do some recording as well, and they probably have lots of ideas on how they accomplish things. And we're really just putting this up just to share, not only information about us and how we accomplish things that we do to our fans, but also we like bouncing ideas off of people, and that's why we're asking for any kind of feedback on, from our fans or for anybody out there that, has experience doing this kind of stuff, and let us know what you think.
Yeah, let us have a conversation.
Yes.
So post in the comments down below. You'll see them somewhere on the bottom of your screen. Shoot us a like. Shoot us a like and follow on all of our platforms, Facebook, Instagram, etc., etc. Back to you, Mark.
All right, everybody. I think we've pretty much covered it for today. So I guess thank you, everyone, for joining us, and you will find us here next week. All right? See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.